this is Jenna Burt, host of the Confessions of a Military Spouse podcast. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hey, you're listening to Girl Hustle with Lee and Chelsea. We are two girls making our way in sales and entrepreneurship.
We set out to make this podcast after entering our late 20s and realizing we were hitting a wall and felt like our lives and careers were stagnant. After expressing this feeling to countless other women, we realized we weren't alone.
So each week we're bringing you real conversations with real people that are authentic, realistic, and relatable in hopes that you can grow into the best version of yourself. So strap in and let's hustle.
Hey everyone, welcome to another week on the Girl Hustle podcast with Lee
and Chelsea.
And Chelsea is joining us on Skype today because again, we are being responsible, social distancing people during this time because we believe in public health and we stan Andy Bashir.
We are here to flatten the curve so we can all go back to work and make that money.
Exactly. So thank you for listening today. We hope that you're taking care of yourself. We hope that you're, doing whatever to keep you sane during this time. But I thought it was really important for Chelsea right now to kind of talk about, she thought it was important and I agreed with her. So don't want to take credit for her idea. She thought it was really important to talk about some sales tactics right now, because I think right now, since we are, in the middle of something very serious going on in our society, it's affecting everyone, not just, people in Louisville, it's affecting everyone around the world. And this is a time that people could get skeezy with their sales and very, kind of I don't want to say threatening, but they can come at a company from a really disingenuous place. And I think Chelsea is doing a great job at handling this in sort of a classy, realistic way. So Chelsea just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about different tactics that you can use during this time. And, improve your sales game right now during a really tough time in the world.
Yeah. Well, so this is what I want to talk about. Right now, it is so easy to sell on fear, which is so slimy. Don't be that person. When you're in sales, you sign up to be a consultant, and consultants care about their customers and their clients. So genuinely care about these people, because you're going to have other people that are doing what you think might work, which is that sleazy, slimy, sell-through fear type of a thing. And if you're the person that is being genuine and actually caring, who are they going to go to? So let's put this in perspective, right? Say that you are the company and you have a sales rep that comes to you hey, this is getting out of control. We have Purell. We have this. You need to buy these cleaning supplies. You need to stock up on this. Who knows what's going to happen? And then they get price increase and they price gouge you, and they're just trying to scare you into buying these things. Hey, we're almost out. You better buy it. Hey, we're running out. Do you want this last case? I don't know, whatever. Fear, tactic, whatever. And then you have another representative that comes to you hey, I just want to make sure you're okay. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I have a few things I can give you as just to help, but I can't, that's about it. I'm sorry, I don't have more that I can do, but please let me know if there's anything I can help with. I just want to check in, make sure you're okay, drop off samples for these people, whatever. At the end of the day, who are you going to choose to work with? Who do you want to partner with? The person that seemed to care about you genuinely and have a good heart and come from a good place, or the person who's just out to make $1? At the end of the day, we're all out to make a freaking dollar. Don't let that fool you. We got bills to pay, mouths to feed, dogs to buy. That's just what it is. But you got to be from a good place. You got to be genuine. You got to care. Not only does that help you build relationships and rapport and trust with your customers, but it makes you feel a little bit better at the end of the day that you weren't a slime ball douchebag.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that is my advice, is just care about people. This isn't a time to focus on you. There's a bigger picture. And if you're selling a product that can help people, be genuine about it. Like, literally be genuine about it, because the kinder you are, the further that's going to go, and they're going to remember you. People want to work with companies and people that care and are kind and are looking out for each other. Like, this isn't the time to be dog eat dog and do that. Step up your game by stepping up your personality in a way that you care about people. Just don't be a douchebag, is what I'm trying to say.
I love that. Don't be a D-bag right now.
Yeah. Don't be a D-bag.
Exactly. I love that. You said that way more eloquently than I was trying to explain it, so I'm really glad that you...
Oh my gosh, can we stop and re-record?
I was like, wow, how did I say that? Nice.
I think so many opportunities to be a slime ball. Look out for number one. And I think, honestly, when it comes down to it, guess what? I'm going to look out for myself and my husband over anybody else. Just like you're going to look out for you and Shane over anybody else when it comes down to it. But we're not at that. And this is business. This isn't you fighting for your house, okay? This is business. So business 101 when you're in sales is to be a consultant and care about people. Actually try to help people. Don't help yourself. Help people. We had that meeting with JD Rothberg from Wild Eggs. The servant heart. Y'all, implement the servant heart right now. Because guess what? Jim's going to buy something from you, and he is going to tell Sally, and Sally's going to be like, oh, well, Jim referred to you because you were so kind and so helpful. Like, you could spend all the money on the world in advertising, and yes, that goes a long way, but word of mouth goes a whole lot farther.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it does.
So, I'm off my soapbox. Y'all know how I feel about it. Just be a good person. Try to help people. And be a consultant, not a salesperson. Stop being a salesperson. Get out of your own head. Get out of your own way. Be a consultant.
Nice. That was really good. I feel like pepped up. I'm like, wow, should I get back into sales? No. But no, but that was amazing. Yeah. So kind of along the lines of being a good person, I think this really ties into our guest that we have on the show today. Absolutely. So we have Megan Bell on the show today. She is the founder of, one, an incredible nonprofit called Virtuous Women of Empowerment, and two, she is opening one of the largest Black-owned grocery stores here in Louisville in the middle of a food desert. The work that she's doing right now, I think is so important and so needed, and it's being done in a neighborhood that, honestly has been completely neglected by a lot of people in this town. And I don't want to make this a political, obviously, argument here, because we are just talking about entrepreneurship and women, but it absolutely has been very neglected by, people in the city. And I think that she's taking this into her own hands, and she's creating something incredible for people in the West End who don't have access to healthy food and don't have access to like a freaking grocery store, which is something, especially now, oh my gosh, during this whole pandemic, it's something that is so essential and something that people take for granted. And so we were really, really stoked to be able to sit down and talk with her about this.
Changing things. She's literally changing Louisville, which is going to change lives, which is going to change the world.
Absolutely.
Megan Bell.
Yeah. Yes, Megan. Yes.
Oh, and Megan Bell's our guest.
Yes. Yes, you are a queen. So yeah, we will. We'll go ahead and wrap up this intro because this is a little longer than usual, but I think that we covered some really good topics.
Hey, there's more. Oh, and I just have this idea. Sorry, we're gonna bring you into the Lee and Chelsea craziness here. I think y'all are listening. There's a good chance that you're sitting at home or going on a walk, or you really don't know what you're doing with your life today or for the next who knows how long. So I challenge you all to join me, and Lee, you're welcome to join as well. But set either a routine or a morning routine or ritual. Make 3 goals for yourself. They don't have to be big. They don't have to be small either. But just 3 things that you want to accomplish today, or an overall goal, and just do something for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yes. I love that. Yeah. And I'm totally down to do this. Let's do it.
It's such a good chance to make something better for yourself, like maybe like set, like, my goal is to have a morning like ritual, like schedule or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to do it.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, even if it's something really simple, like, you know what, I want to wake up today and meditate for 10 minutes, or I want to read 10 pages of a book that I got. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I want to work 7 hours on my business today.
I'm going to set so many appointments. Okay, this is really stupid, but I really love it. Okay, I'm doing this challenge, the 6-week challenge, and I'm going to invite you to do this little thing with me. But the first thing you do, don't hit the snooze button, and when you wake up, smile for 15 seconds. Just smile for 15 seconds. You're going to feel stupid, trust me. I know, because I literally if you could see me right now, this is how I wake up. Just smile, because it's going to put you in a better mood for the day, especially with all the negativity that is going around.
Mm-hmm. You
get to control your thoughts and your environment. So control them. Oh, control them.
I love that. No, that was great. I mean, I want to try this. I've never really thought about that. So that's such a good thing to do. And especially, dude, waking up in the morning, at least for me, like, I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I don't know if it's just because I haven't had coffee or I haven't, like, taken my meds yet, but, like, I feel like I can, like, get kind of sad in the mornings just because you're so tired and your brain isn't really, like, fully functioning yet. So I love that idea. I'll join you in doing this.
Just wake up and a 15-second smile.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah. You can picture yourself in #Girl Hustle, #15-second smile.
Y'all can do that. My face recognition doesn't even recognize me in the morning, so there's no way I'm taking a photo of myself first thing in the morning. But I love the idea and I love the intention. So awesome. All right. So we will go ahead and get to our interview with Megan Bell. And we hope you enjoy this, and we hope that you stay safe and take care of yourself today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Girl Hustle Podcast. We have an incredible guest on the show today who I've wanted on for so long, and I'm so stoked that we got the time to now sit down with her. So today we have Megan Bell on the pod. If you live in Louisville, I'm going to go ahead and hopefully assume that you've heard about her. She's starting Next Door Market. It is one of the largest Black-owned grocery stores that is being started in Louisville. And so I wanted to talk to her because I think this is something and an issue that I wasn't even aware of. And I mean, I'm grateful that I am privileged enough to not know that this was an issue, but I wanted her to come on to here and talk about, how she, started this, what the idea was, what her background was, and why this is so needed right now in our city. So thank you so much, Megan, for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So where, kind of give us a background of where you got the idea for Next Door Market, and why you think now is just a time that it's absolutely needed.
Well, as I told you before we started going live or whatever, I grew up in Newburgh. So in a Black community, low income, people on government assistance and different things like that. So being raised in that type of environment, not having an accessible grocery store, not having resources, not enough resources, different things like that we grew up not really having, has given me the idea and the passion to want to open a grocery store in a community that I'm very familiar with, which is the Russell neighborhood. That's basically where my idea came from. But I also was able to do a lot of research, also with food deserts and other urban communities as well, all over the states. So it's really not like a lot of Black-owned grocery stores anymore. Mm-hmm. I think there's like one that's trying to open in Atlanta, and then there's one that's trying to open in Denver, and then there's one here And then you may have a lot of Black-owned, like, I won't call them grocery stores, but more of like just like a market where they only sell certain type of items. But even then, it's still it's not a grocery store where people. It's not like the next Kroger's or anything like that, or the next Whole Foods. Mm-hmm. So that's basically where my idea came from. Being around, growing up in that type of environment, where the only thing that we really had to eat was that was provided for us was fast food, gas stations, different things like that, where we get our food from, junk food and different things like that. So my motto for the grocery store is more eating, more healthier, and really putting the food education around that for our people, especially in the Black community that has a lot of health conditions, as far as diabetes and different things like that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Explain what a food desert is for people who aren't really familiar with that term.
Sorry.
Hi. No, we have a special guest that just entered. That's amazing.
Right. Well, a food desert is basically like when you think about an urban community, in just about every urban community around the States, not just West Louisville. When you think about food deserts, when you are only able to get to a gas station to get your food, or like a Family Dollar's, or maybe only like 1 or 2 grocery stores that's not affordable, that doesn't have the fresh and quality affordable foods, when you only get in when there's only like fast foods around in the neighborhoods, like McDonald's or something like that, or a Wendy's. You may have Black-owned restaurants, but they're still pushing really bad healthy eating, because fried foods, ribs, and different things like that. So when you think about food deserts, those are the type of things that you'll see in food deserts. So, for instance, West Louisville, there's really only 2 real big grocery stores. Save-A-Lot is gone. Value Mart is gone. There's really no Rainbow Blossom or Whole Foods. There's never been one. Aldi's, there's not Aldi's down there.
Pick Pack closed as well.
Yeah, Pick Pack is closed. And when you think, so really it's only like 2 available grocery stores right now. And it's still, to some people in the community, it's still not affordable. And then sometimes, depending on where your location, if you really pay attention to these big chain grocery stores, they don't put, fresh food, fresh produce and different out, because they know people in that type of location won't buy it. So basically that's what a food desert is, just because, and that's what people need to understand, just because there is a grocery store in those type of areas does not necessarily mean that it's not considered a food desert, because if they don't have any other option, then it's considered a food desert.
Yeah, gosh. So take us back kind of to, because I know we have a lot of listeners who are trying to start something. They want, to have something that is going to make a difference. What was the first step that you took to really, kick off this idea? Was it, making a business plan? Was it reaching out to mentors? What was your first step in doing this?
I think it was really doing my research and with the grocery store industry, where I wanted it to be, really understanding the Russell neighborhood and why, I wanted it there more than any other place. And, really, and I also had mentors. I had a vice president of Rainbow Blossom. I had the vice president of Value Mart to help me understand the grocery aspect of it all. And then, just really reaching out to other grocery store entities and just asking them, hey, can I come volunteer, or can I, just see how it operates, as far as a grocery store. And I was fortunate enough that people saw my vision and saw what I was trying to do, and, didn't see it as, much as a competition, and, decided to give me that opportunity to do that. So that's basically where I started from. Just really getting my mentor and doing my research, which really took me 2 to 3 years to do that.
Gosh, that's amazing. This has been a long project then. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
It's more details than people really think, because I hear a lot of people reach out to me and say, well, this is the dream that I want to do, and this is what I want to do, and I see you're doing it. And I don't think people understand it's not like it's not like your normal retail store where you can go into, you can just plan it out in a year and it open in a year. Like a grocery store has a lot more details with it, and you really got to know your demographics and different things like that with it. So yeah, it took me about 3 years to actually get here.
Gosh, that's insane. And now you guys are set to open in 2021. Is that correct? Did I see that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
So what's like kind of like the remaining like bits and pieces that you have to put together?
Well, so this summer I had decided, well, what can I do right now that could really show people how serious I am? Because with the grocery store, you have to have your crowdfunding and all that stuff to get it going. Building relationships with other big corporations and foundations and stuff like that just to get it going. And I decided to do something that I can use my own personal investments in to get it going. So this summer I had decided to open, which is coming in May of this year, even with everything, the pandemic and all the stuff that's going on, opening a mobile grocery store.
Yeah.
So it's
that is so cool. Oh my gosh, you are so ahead of like what is going on right now, and I want you to finish your thought, but because like Skype calls can be so weird sometimes, and you're like, oh, are you talking? Am I talking? But so we can avoid that. I want to hear what you're talking about, but I also want to hear like you being you, doing all of these things, coming from like being in the food desert, how it's played a part in like you being the perfect person to do this in this pandemic. Like, it's incredible. Like, this is the type of things that we hear on these big podcasts. Is like these people come up and they are literally changing the world when they could have not. You know what I mean? You stepped up tenfold, and I just want you to tell people. You're inspiring me.
What was the question?
Okay, so I want to hear about the mobile grocery, because I think that is so incredible. Yeah. But how your life has prepped you to be the best person for starting a business in a pandemic. Because you talked a little bit about before, and I was like, yes, I like that.
Well, actually, mobile markets, where there's actually Kroger's has one here in Louisville, but it's not as. It was really part of Dare to Care. Dare to Care came up with the idea, but it's really, really popular in the West Coast, California, Colorado, Denver. Colorado, Denver, Arizona, all in the West Coast. And there was a girl that I was just doing my research because I was coming up with ideas that I could do. And I said, what can I do? What can I do? And I came across this article because I read all the time. And there was a girl in Oregon at Whole Foods. She started, now Whole Foods takes over it, but it's their first mobile market. It's called Ma Street Groceries. And she started this. And I just read her article and understanding how Portland, Oregon is also dealing with food deserts, and they're dealing with food insecurity in their community. And the only thing different about hers is that she had a Charlie. Like, her grocery store was like a Charlie. It was like a grocery store, so it was like neat. And I'm like, how did she do this? Like, how did she get the money to do this? And different things, like, how did she even do that? But then I read up on it, and she was able to partner with Whole Foods to get it done. Now Whole Foods has, over it. But it just, like, really inspired me to come up with that idea. And then I started doing research on it, and I just realized it's never been done here. And I said, well, everybody's excited about the grocery store, but I wonder how would they feel if they had a mobile grocery where you go into people's neighborhoods that have no access at all to grocery stores, and you pull up with this big old truck, and people can come onto the truck and shop, and it's a grocery store. Mm-hmm. So that's actually where my idea came from, but my vision is completely different from hers, but that was my inspiration to do it. So I was able to use my own personal investments and get me a really big truck. It's a really big red truck, and was able to about to get my refrigerations and stuff on, and I'm going to remodel the inside of a truck to look like a grocery store. So people will be able to come on and shop and go grocery shopping. Like it will be like a grocery store on wheels.
That's amazing. That's such a freaking good idea, because people don't realize like how much a lot of people in urban communities just like rely on public transport, and you don't even think about like how important it is to have something close to you, and especially when it's going to be mobile. Like even just like logistically getting on a bus and then getting on another bus and then having all these it's so inconvenient, and like I just think it's just such a good idea, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, why has someone not done this before? And like you're just like doing it. That's freaking amazing.
It will continue, and I plan on having like I have my first truck, but I plan on having at least 2 or 3 while the grocery store is open as well, because I don't expect people to, we have this real nice grocery store and people are just going to be willing to get up and go out. Mm-hmm. And with the situation that's happening right now with the global pandemic, with the virus or whatever, it's going to be very hard for senior citizens and people with disabilities to be able to still get out and, for their safety. It would just be a better way to do it. And we'll also be having like fresh meals on the truck, and we'll be providing delivery services that has never, I would say it's been, doing my research and talking to other community leaders in West Louisville, centuries since they had deliveries like this before. Mm-hmm. So this would be like a comeback in West Louisville for this to happen. So I'm really excited about it.
That's so
great.
For real.
What's helped you like in your past that kind of people really asked for, but what in your past has made you be so freaking chill about this? Like you have kept and you're like, I ain't even afraid. It's fine, good, and I've got this, and like I'm making a trend. I have these 2 babies, and I'm doing it all.
I've always been like a chill person, and I've always been, as long as I'm able to sit down and really put my vision on paper and make it make sense, I feel more better about it, and I don't have second thoughts. A lot of people who trying to launch businesses, like in this type of situation, when something like this happens, they become very frantic. They scared. They're like, oh, should I really do this? But for me, it's like, this is a great opportunity. Like, this is something that can really happen right now. People are, grocery stores are being sold out of toilet paper. So I have toilet paper. So people are willing to, buy from me, because there's hope. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, especially in, urban communities. There's really not much of businesses down there anyway in West Louisville. So now that everything is closing, it's like, where can I really grocery shop besides Kroger's? Mm-hmm. So I feel like this would be a huge opportunity to just go ahead and put it out there. And I'm kind of glad that this has happened, not in a bad way, but kind of like now people really get to see what urban communities go through on a daily basis. Like, people in really nice suburb areas, you guys only have to deal with this temporarily. But people who are really grew up in poverty, to have no access at all, they go through this daily. Mm-hmm. So maybe that will bring back humanity into our communities, and people understand how important it is for West Louisville to be able to have just as much as other, nice areas with grocery stores and coffee shops and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That almost made me cry.
So much. We were talking before, we're like, this is the time to be helpful and charitable and loving and kind, and be because I'm in sales and Lee was in sales and she's an entrepreneur now, and so we're tackling this from two different sides but in the same part, right? And I'm people are you can be really shady right now and capitalize on people's fear, or you can do exactly what freaking Megan Bell is doing and provide a solution and genuinely care about people. And that's what's gonna make you thrive. You're talking, I'm about to cry. Just why can't there be more people like you? This is so
yeah. I hope that with this situation, people truly understand why humanity is important. A lot of other countries are suffering more than we are, especially Italy, they hitting it really hard. But it just shows you that we all really do need each other in certain ways. It may not be, the healthcare or, nonprofits or anything like that, but we all need each other for certain reasons. So I'm really excited that I'm able to share my vision that I have been put so hard into for 3 years, to be able to really give it to people who really need it the most, and also inspire the next generation to want to do something like this and to be successful in it as well. So I'm really excited about it.
That's amazing.
that's awesome.
Speaking of inspiring people, I know that you also are the founder of Virtuous Women of Empowerment, and this is something I did not even realize you also were the founder of a nonprofit. I'm just can you, what is your resume like? My mind is blown. So tell us a little bit about that, how long it's been up and running, what it's all about, your inspiration, just, tell us everything.
Well, as a child, women in my family have always been women empowerment motivation type women. When we see if my mom or my mom's sister see each other going through things, women empowerment, being there for each other, leaning on each other is so important as women. So that really inspired me to start the nonprofit, and then being able to see other women leaders do great things in our community and just reaching out to them as my mentors before I started Virtuous Women, just to get the idea of what my organization should be about and what was really more needed than anything in our community. And that was one of the things that they were hoping that I would do. I'm sorry.
Pause. You're okay.
So that's what really got me started with Virtuous Women, and it's a nonprofit for women. And I started that in 2018. So it's been about 3 years, almost 3 years now. And it's a nonprofit for women, and I decided to do for the nonprofit, do events and seminars that has everything to do with women empowerment. So I've done brunches. We were in position before the grocery store just took over my life. In the process of putting programs together for women, as far as one about education around investments, financial literacy, if you wanted to go back to school, women's health, and this was all going to be in urban communities that had lack of information for Black women and women who was living in poverty. So just connecting with people on that, connecting with women, and I had a women's brunch last year, which was awesome, and I had even women from Dallas, that came and spoke. I had women from Metro Councils that came out and was one of my speakers, and it was a sold-out event. And women that, till this day, I ran into women and they're like, your event inspired me to start a business, or your event inspired me to, really change myself as a woman, or reach out to people, your resources that you have. So, yeah, I mean, that has really been like very impactful moment for me to be able to realize how big of that opportunity was, not for just me, but for other women. So
that is incredible.
Yeah.
I think that, that alone is just something that I think is just, that energy is so needed right now. And that's incredible.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I even had a woman that, just by going to the brunch and hearing other women's testimonies and stuff, she wrote her first book. So, which was, yeah. So it's like, wow. But she said that was her inspiration to write her first book. And that made me feel very inspired to do even more bigger things. And that's when the grocery store came. I'm like, well, what else can I do? And the grocery store came to my mind, and I just started really doing everything I needed to do for that, and inspiring other people around the world. Which, with the grocery store, it went nationwide.
Yeah.
So I had people all over from different states, just being inspired and asking me, well, how did you do it? How did you do it? And different things like that. So I'm just happy that keeps me going. Just hearing those affirmations from people lets me know that I'm going in the right direction, and I'm making
history books, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whenever you're kind of starting this, because I think that, seeing where you are now and like talking to you, like I think that Chelsea and I and a lot of people can tell, like, absolutely, like there's no doubt that, why this woman is where she is. But starting off, like taking those first baby steps, I think that just like it can be so overwhelming and so daunting with like creating the right network that you have to create, getting the right connections. So kind of take us a little bit through your process. Did you just start with like an inner circle? Were you just like straight up just cold reaching out to people? How did you kind of build this network in order for you to get to the place where you're at today?
Well, a lot of it was, I talked to women in my family first. I let my family know what I wanted to do, just to make sure that was the right thing to do. But then it was just more of social media is a very powerful tool. And I was already friends with some women that were speakers and different things like that. So I would reach out to them and, talk to them and say, hey, this is what I want to do, and just getting advice and mentorship from that. And that just really built my relationship. And I was able to, when I met one woman, they gave me another woman's information and say, hey, you need to reach out to her, because what you want to do, you can add this person. And then my resources just started overlapping just within a year. So I guess it was more of people really seeing what I was trying to do and the passion that they had already seen in me. And every woman that I had interact with, they're all about women empowerment. They're either in the ministry, or they are activists, or they're feminists, or they, some type of leaders, or, just they know the struggle of not only being a woman, but being a Black woman trying to do something like this. So I was just fortunate enough to be around those women to keep pushing me to, do Virtuous Women. And, I just had great support from that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So this topic could be like a very complex subject, and we could probably talk about this for like 2 hours, but I know that obviously what you're doing is something that, someone who grew up in this neighborhood is just deciding to do and deciding to help make a change. I think that it also needs to be kind of pointed out that this is kind of a systematic problem that I think a lot of people, like whether it's the government, whether it's city council, whatever, could be taking steps to help alleviate the issue of food deserts. I think, in the West End, what do you think are some baby steps that in your opinion, what are some little steps that this city could be taking to really help the West End? Because I think it is a very neglected neighborhood, and people don't realize, Louisville is actually one of the most segregated cities still in America. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it literally is still. And I think that that's a lot of, neglect that has been placed on the West End for so long. What are some steps that you think that we could take as a city to help alleviate that?
I think we really need to understand what's happening right now with the gentrification, people losing their homes, food deserts, gun violence. In the Russell neighborhood, 91% of residents are single mothers. We're taking Black fathers out of our homes and incarcerating them for a long period of time for minor, offenses. Just different things that we can really understand why this is happening before we try to be heroes or before we try to get recognition for it. I think with the city, I get what they're trying to do as far as, trying to build West Louisville as far as they rebuild a Utah Terrace and different things like that. But I feel like they're going about it the wrong way. As far as the people who really build that neighborhood are suffering more than people who have the income and the wealth to live down there. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to see, if you really pay attention, you're starting to see what West Louisville is trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I get it. They're trying to bring in tourists. They're trying to look like the next Nashville, where people come and just, people from different states come for, Derby and different things like that. And I get it. But I just think that we really need to start understanding what the community needs and what they want and their voices. Mm-hmm. And you have amazing people already in West Louisville that are doing amazing things, but they just don't have the wealth or the capital to do it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if the city really starts understanding that the people that come from those neighborhoods, if you just give them the capital to do it, and it comes from them, they know that it's coming from them. That's the people see that it's coming from them that looks like them from those type of neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. That it will be more successful than trying to bring an outsider in to do the job. So that doesn't know West Louisville, that doesn't know the Russell neighborhood or Shawnee or anything like that. And I feel like that's what the city is doing right now. They keep bringing in people that are not from West Louisville to do these type of projects and jobs that people in this in the community has already trying to do, but they just don't have the wealth to do it. Yeah. And they need more resources to be able to do it. Absolutely. So that's how I feel with it. With the grocery store, I went to the city about it, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I guess because, for one, I'm a Black woman. So the stereotype of Black businesses is already out there that, a lot of Black-owned grocery stores that has happened in Louisville has only lasted no more than 2 or 3 years. So that was one of the things that I learned, is they was probably very scared of even wanting to hear my idea. Mm-hmm. Because they have seen it happen so many times that they were afraid that this might happen again. Mm-hmm. And then 2, how they wanted me to do the grocery store was not how I envisioned. You know, they wanted me to do it like Logan's Market. And Logan's Market is great, you know, for people that have money, but it wasn't fit for urban communities, that people that really need a grocery store that is affordable, that, you know, it could really benefit. You know, they were just like, oh, okay, yeah, we not really feeling it. So I was like, okay, well, you know, it's okay. You know, I'm going to be successful in it anyway, because if people see me, they know, oh, we know Megan. She comes from Newburgh. She comes from those communities. People will be more willing to come to me before they go to Kroger's, because Kroger's is not originally from Louisville.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's just like, I really don't know what the city can really do, because they have their own ways of how they do things. I just know that in order for the West Louisville to be how they think it should be or want it to be, they truly have to invest in the people that are already there and give them the capital that they need to be able to, or if they can't give them the capital, give them the resources to be able to get that capital. To be able to do these type of amazing projects that are really trying to happen in Louisville. A community garden in the Russell neighborhood is trying to happen in Louisville. There are farmers in West Louisville that are trying to buy community garden houses, you know, to be able to grow their crops and stuff. So it's just like so many things that people in Louisville is trying to do, but they just don't have the resources or the capital to do it. And I think once Louisville, the city, really starts to see how amazing these projects are and where they are now and how they can, you know, flourish if they have the money to do it and the wealth to do it, then I believe that it would be, you know, even more better. It would give the next generation that's in the community right now a chance to be able to have something for them as well.
Nice. So you would say, like, it's not about infiltrating is a really strong word, but like going in and trying to build something for people, and it's much more about taking the existing people and just elevating them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is.
Yeah. If you think about it too, like if I do something myself, I'm going to value it so much more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the people in neighborhoods, if it's like them doing their thing, it's going to make them feel better about themselves. People are going to want to support their neighbors, and there's going to be more pride in it versus like having some outside big company build some beautiful something that people are going to really appreciate.
And it's really, I mean, and that's really what it is. You know, back in the day, well, before I was born, when my grandmother was living, and she lived in those urban communities, there were Black businesses. There were people who were Jews. They had businesses. It was like different type of cultures that you would walk down the street and there was different businesses, whether it was a grocery store or a convenience store or a clothing store or a shoe store. You had all those businesses. There used to be a Black-owned theater in West Louisville, like before I was even born, and probably before we were all born. But that's how it was back then. But now it's like you got these big corporations that are really trying to take over, you know, the neighborhood, especially in urban communities, Kroger, Dollar General, Family Dollar, because they have the capital to do that. So, and the city is continuing to allow these big corporations to come into poverty neighborhoods and, you know, take over. Or if it's not that, then it's, you know, more about real estate. And they flipping houses out in West Louisville that are only worth, you know, $50,000. But you have outsiders coming in flipping these houses and then turning them into like the houses you see in Middletown, and then charging $220,000 for it or whatever, you know, $200,000 for it. But the income in those communities like the Russell neighborhood, only $17,000 a year. No more than $17,000, no more than $20,000 a year. So I get that they trying to bring back, trying to build the community in ways that they want it to look like. But I just feel like the way they're doing it is so wrong, and is so like a slap in the face to the residents that already live there, and pushing them out to try to bring in the wealth that investors, that I feel like it's kind of messed up, because now it's like you push these people out, where do they have to go? Because they already are struggling and suffering from, you know, situations from this. So like it's crazy. It's crazy how the world works.
Yeah.
That's how the world works. Capital is like capitalizing off anything that has anything to have to do with building a community in development is what it is. You know, situation with, you know, the pandemic that's happening right now, people are really building off capitalism from that. So it's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy.
Gosh.
It's like people
have that. You can have something so like capitalism, building your own thing. It can be such a beautiful and wonderful thing, and makes part of what, you know, is great about America great. But it can also be such a negative thing. You know, like a double-edged sword.
So many people in such negative ways.
Yeah, you can have your own business. You can build this wealth. You can do all this. That's great. That's wonderful. The harder you work, the more money you make in a perfect world. But it can also do exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you know, it's nothing against, you know, it's nothing against white people. You know, I accept all white people, but I feel like when it comes to these type of situations, that they feel like they have to be superheroes and coming into, you know, these type of urban communities to be like, well, I have the money, so I can do this. I can flip these houses. I can open, you know, a grocery store and different things like that. And it's kind of like, if you give me the money,
yeah,
you know, if you become my investor, you know, I can show you what the community needs. And if they have a familiar face that they can walk into the store every day and know that, oh, this is run by a black woman, or this is run by a black male, and it's just as nice as the next Whole Foods, or just as nice as the next Kroger's, you know, people will be willing to really buy into that. Yeah. And it would give so much better opportunities for more people to come in and hear every, you know, other people in the community, their projects and their ideas, to say, oh, wow, she opened a grocery store. What else, the community, what else type of ideas or projects they working on that we can invest in?
Absolutely. I love that. I love that you brought up the superhero aspect of like this like white savior complex, because we had a girl, Cara DeLoss. I have no idea if you know her or not, but she's a Korean adoptee, and she works with so many like diversity groups in Louisville, and she works for KFC and works with so many diversity groups. And we asked her when we had her on the podcast, it's like, what can we as white people do to be better allies to people of color? And I think one of the most important things she said was just stop talking and like let other people talk.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Just like literally just listen, just stop talking, listen to people and hear what they actually need, and stop trying to like make it your thing to like save the world. Like, let other people do it.
You know what's crazy though is when Wave 3 did my story, I never had any type of issue with black owned grocery as the title. Like, I never had any issues. But when Wave 3 did it, it was just like all these white people had came out of nowhere and was so upset. They were so mad. They were like, yes, they were so mad because it was more of how dare you say black owned, only black people can shop here. And this was around Black History Month. This was a time to celebrate Black History Month, and they really made it about them.
Mm-hmm. We're very sensitive people.
And yes, you know what was so crazy, because what happened was Wave 3 they wrote an article on me and they posted on their Facebook page, which was tremendous. Mm-hmm. I had over 3,000 likes, over 1,000 people had shared, but they tagged my name in the post, so people were able to come to my personal page. I had a white man who told me, I guess he thought black women are only known to sell their body and do drugs. So he basically told me, he basically told me, congratulations to you. At least you're not selling your body or doing drugs. I had another, a white lady inbox me and told me, thank you for opening this grocery store so you people can stay in your neighborhoods and we're saving our white babies.
Wow.
I would literally get harassed. Like, when they post that, I was literally getting harassed every day by white people, which racial comments, prejudice comments. I mean, it was absolutely absurd. I was just like, I can't believe people really have this mentality that white supremacy is not an issue. Like, we really turn into the blind eye about this. And here's a woman, you're really mad at a black woman that put in a grocery store in a black-owned community. I mean, a black community. You're really mad about that. Mm-hmm. So I was just appalled by it, and I was just like, but it just kind of made me stronger, because this is what, as black people, we really do go through, and people turn a blind eye about it because they're like, oh, racism, that don't still exist. When we talk about slavery and we talk about our ancestors and we talk about this, different things like that, as black people, we're still trying to figure out who we are and what we're here for. Mm-hmm. So, it just made me stronger, and to know that, my 3 babies, I got 2 boys, and I got my daughter, mm-hmm. What I'm seeing, what our black boys are being killed by police and being arrested and being incarcerated and, being harassed and, all those different things. For them to see a grocery store, it's just giving them the dream and the ambition that my mom did this. Mm-hmm. My dad's a doctor. I can do this too. Like, I can be something. So it's just giving black kids hope as well. So it's more than what people are trying to make it about themselves. And, it really didn't bother me, the racism and the racial slurs that happened. But it was so bad, I had made a post about it. And I said, you guys, I really have to take a break from Facebook. And I even thought about deactivating my account because I was constantly getting racial slurs from white people.
Yeah, that's
the whole month of Black History Month, and it was just supposed to be a celebration for black people doing amazing things, mm-hmm. all the way to Harriet Tubman, all the way to Martin Luther King, and to this generation. And it was just the whole point of it had just went out the window to some people. Yeah. So, that's what we live with. You see it every day. People post it on Instagram and different things like that. So,
yeah. Well, I'm so just I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. But I truly believe that no one can make a change in this world without having some pushback. You know what I mean? So it's like what you said. You said you're kind of, not glad that happened, but it definitely made you stronger. And I really believe that if you have people hating on you, then you're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? And it sucks that this is the way you had to find that out, because I think that it's disgusting and awful, but it's still happening and people don't realize it. And you're so right. People really do turn a blind eye. They think, oh, well, well, I don't really know, racism doesn't exist because, they can go out and get a job, they can vote, blah, 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 all these things have changed, no one illegally can do, but they don't realize that there's still so many just, horrible, underhanded things that are still happening to black people that we're just not even acknowledging.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I'm not happy that this global pandemic has happened. Mm-hmm. I'm not happy about that.
Absolutely.
But now people who are privileged mm-hmm. get to see what urban communities and other continents who are dealing with this on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Iraq, Africa, poor poverty areas and continents, and in the United States, mm-hmm. they really get to see what we go through every day. Mm-hmm. So you got to deal with this for 3 weeks, but we've been dealing with this for decades, for centuries, since our ancestors were born. We've been dealing with this, and nothing has really changed because of it. So, and the blind eye has been turned, but now that people really privileged people get to see it and they feel it, it's a problem. It's an uproar about it. So we need to continue to do that even after this is over with for people who still have to deal with that on a daily basis. So that's how I feel about it. And, you know, like I said, I hope that this will bring back humanity over anything else.
Absolutely.
To help those type of people.
Absolutely.
Megan, you're incredible. Like, you telling me all this stuff, it just literally breaks my heart. Like, that people, it's like, I feel so guilty that I've been so blind to it. Yeah. Like, I'm guilty of that. Like, and we're talking with Kara, like, I'm like, you're black, I'm white, like, I love you, you're great, you're a person, and that's how I want everybody to see it, but that's not how people see it. But, like, I'm gonna start crying because I'm a freaking baby, but it's just like, that's so wrong.
Yeah.
So wrong.
And it's, like I said, it's been going on for decades. It's just like some of us who don't experience it or don't see it on a daily basis, they don't want to believe it. So, you know, and then you have a president who makes it worse. You know, who's giving you that privilege to go around attacking China, you know, Asian people, Korean people, and calling the virus Chinese virus.
Yeah,
you know, or when the Ebola outbreak came out, people were attacking Africans as well. So it's just, it's so bad, you know, how we are treating each other and how humanity has just gone completely out the window. It just don't even exist anymore. You know. So, yeah. But, you know, I didn't want to bring it to light with the whole racial and prejudice comments that I had with the grocery store. But then again, you know, I knew it was coming. That's just being a black woman. I know you have that feeling like, I know this is coming. I just didn't know when it was coming. And I didn't know if they were going to be like at my front, you know, at the grocery store protesting for it to be closed down, or, you know, but I knew that somebody, it was going to be that one group of people who are prejudiced and racist that would come out of the woodworks to, you know, try to destroy something so amazing and powerful for anybody to be able to be a part of. I knew that was coming.
Absolutely. Well, there are more people in your corner than not in your corner. At least I heard too.
Absolutely.
I think you are incredible. Your story is amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
So what can we do? Because I mean, obviously, like Chelsea and I are just like two girls who just like have normal jobs. Like we don't work for the city. We don't have giant investment firms. Like, what can the average person in Louisville do to help you right now?
I guess really just being supportive and sharing what I have going on. Like the mobile grocery is so important right now with everything that's going on. So just putting the word out. We're working on the social media pages and the website right now to launch, to start promoting in April for the mobile grocery. So just doing that type of stuff would just really help me out a whole lot, especially in these type of times where people just need hope and promises and something else to focus on instead of being distracted by fear and stress and all that other stuff that's happening right now.
Nice. Well, at the end of every interview, we do this yoga session, is what we call it, with our guests. And so, because like a lot of times at the end of a yoga class, they're just like, do whatever pose you want for like 2 minutes. So we kind of want to give you this opportunity. If there's anything we didn't touch on, if there's anything you're really passionate about, if there's a show on Netflix that you just saw that you just want to like give a shout out to, whatever. So we kind of want to give you a couple minutes at the end here to just kind of just speak your truth and talk about anything that you would like to bring up.
No, I think I've done all of that. I do want people to watch on Netflix. It's called She Did That. It is a documentary about Black women as entrepreneurs who are really don't do that. Who is really suffering in the world of corporate offices. being an entrepreneur, not having the resources and capital to start their businesses and it be successful. The struggles and all that we go through every day as Black women and entrepreneurs. I really want people to watch that. I think every people of all races should watch that and see how important it really is. Oh, I'm sorry. To understand what we go through as Black women. So, and as women, period, because I'm sure women, period, are going through different things in corporate offices and different things like that. So, I really want people to watch that. And if you haven't watched 13 Gates on Netflix,
Okay.
What you say? Have you watched that before?
I don't think so.
I need you to watch that too.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, it's really talking about our Black men being incarcerated in America, and just like the jail system and how they want to reform the jail system, understanding what's happening with the jail system as well. It's a failure to all races, basically, but it's really touching, Black men as well. So being really educated on the Black culture and understanding what the Black culture, what we face, it's really important right now, and it's needed. So, yeah, I would love for you guys for people to watch that. So.
Amazing. Awesome. Well,
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. This is real. This is like real life. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, tell people where they can find you, where they can, share your pages. Is there any like social media pages that we should be directing people to?
Well, right now I just have my personal page, which I'll launch the social media and website for the mobile truck in the grocery store. So once I have that up, people will be able to go onto the social media page for that in a couple weeks. So, yeah.
Great. Awesome. Well, Megan, thank you so freaking much for joining us today. This has been like an incredible episode. I am so glad that we got to hear you and hear your story and hear things that we like need to hear, even if it makes us as white people uncomfortable, because sometimes we need to hear things that we don't want to hear. So thank you again. You are an amazing person. And we will link Megan in the comments. We'll also include all the Netflix, the 2 Netflix movies and series that she mentioned, so that we can watch it and educate ourselves. And we will be back next week for another episode of Girl Hustle.